to my craft table. What's up, you guys? It's Hannah. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. I'm Hannah. I am so excited for this video because as of about an hour ago, I decided that I wanted to start a new series on this here YouTube channel, and that series is going to be called Homebody Hobbies. If you have met me before, you already know that I'm a homebody. If you have not met me before, hello, my name's Hannah. I'm 26 years old and I am a homebody and proud of it. I do go out and see other people as well. However, being at home, being in my own company is how I recharge. So I am certified homebody, and I also love hobbies. I have been a crafty person since birth. Honestly, I probably came out the womb crafting. My mom and I did a lot of crafts together when I was growing up, and that never left me. I have been doing DIYs, crafts, trying different hobbies ever since. I wanted to combine my loves of being at home, doing hobbies, drinking a coffee, and also talking, and create this series. Homebody Hobbies is going to be a series where I sit down, I do a hobby or a craft. A lot of the hobbies that I do actually are crafts, and I'm gonna talk about whatever topic I wanna talk about. So today, I'm gonna be making some homemade bookmarks, because bookmarks are honestly one of the easiest things that you can make. You can use anything to make, anything can be a bookmark. But I had some cool ideas. I've been looking on Pinterest for different crafts in general, and I've been seeing a lot of really cute little painted bookmarks. I've also been super into scrapbooking, so I thought that maybe it'd be fun to scrapbook some bookmarks. I saw some with like ribbon around the edges. I just thought that that would be a fun thing to do, and I've been meaning to sit down and do that. And I also just wrote down some books earlier that I have put on my 2026 TBR, because one of my other favorite hobbies that isn't craft related is reading. So we're combining so many things that I love today, and I think this is gonna be really fun. I put a little question sticker on my Instagram story last week, and I was asking y'all what videos you'd like to see more from me this year, and a lot of people said crafts and DIYs and hobby content, so here we are. And yes, I came up with this idea about an hour ago, and I immediately got up, I put makeup on, and I sat down. Did I change out of my sweats? No, because we are in the comfort of my own home. I do not wear jeans in my own home. I'm shocked I even have mascara on, because quite frankly, I don't wear mascara in my own home, but apparently I do now. I don't know, new year, new me. But I figured if I didn't do it right now when I got the idea for it, then it would pass me by. And 2026 for me, I want to be more of a doer. I want more action, less thinking, because you can't think your way into a new way of acting. You have to act your way into a new way of thinking. That's one of my favorite things to say. All that being said, welcome to episode 1 of Homebody Hobbies. Today we are making bookmarks, and we're talking about what I have on my 2026 TBR so far, okay? I'm filming this in January. I'm not on top of all of the like new releases, but I do have a good list of some books that not all of them are new. Most of them actually aren't new releases, now that I'm thinking about it, but some are. Just books that I would like to read in 2026. My reading goal this year is 26 books to match the year. I made my goal last year 25 books, and I read 59. So I like to start the year not putting too much pressure on myself with my reading goal, because when I look at a number that's too high, it almost feels like a chore and like something I just have to check off, and I don't want it to be that, especially because I've been in a reading slump, the worst reading slump of my entire life for the past like 4 months, and I just, as of a few days ago, started being able to finish books again. There's just been a lot going on. I'm so excited to get back into it. I'm gonna take a sip of my coffee because I haven't even done that. I don't know how I have so much energy. I think it's just excitement. All right, I'm gonna go get the supplies I need for today's craft, and where I'm gonna find the supplies are my hobby hutch, my craft cabinet, whatever you want to call it. It's right over here, and we're gonna pick out the supplies together. I haven't shown you my hobby hutch in a while. It's not organized. It needs more organization. There's just kind of stuff in areas. You know what, why am I talking about it? Let me go show you my hobby hutch. Welcome to my hobby hutch. This is where all of my craft stuff is stored. Everything for all of my different creative hobbies is in here. Up here we have my paints. I also have my scrapbooking stuff up here. I am gonna need a pair of scissors. I have an entire cup of scissors. I hosted a vision board night for my friends for the beginning of the year, and I needed way more scissors than I had. Also ignore the random picture frames over there, okay? I just need to donate those. They've been sitting there since I moved in. I don't know, I'm just a girl. Okay, glue. I might need my glue gun. Here is my ribbon. Paper for a bookmark would be good. I have this watercolor book of paper, which I love. I just really, really like this paper. It's very thick. I have cardstock too. I'll get both. I think I'm gonna watercolor at least one bookmark, so I'm gonna need this. And then if I scrapbook one too, I'll use cardstock. I have this paper cutter thing that I could use. Watercolors, paintbrushes. There's a lot of stuff going on here. All my scrapbooking stuff is in here. I ordered so many random magazines. Half of these are from the 90s off of eBay for my vision board night. This is gonna take some going through because there's way more here than I need, but I love scrapbooking. Okay, now that I've pulled out half of the contents of this cabinet right now, I think we're ready. Okay, what do I wanna do? Kind of like the idea of painting with watercolor a full bookmark in like pink, but that would require drying time. So we could start that one and then move on to a scrapbook one and then come back to that one. Use my little paper cutter and get a bookmark size piece from this. Boom. How many inches is that? That is 4 inches. I'm just gonna cut the rest of it too because why not? Got all these to work with. I also just remembered I need paper towels and a water cup for watercolor. I have no flow to this. I'm just kind of doing things in the order of how I would usually do them. First one, I want this to be, I think, pink all over, and then maybe I could put my initial on it. I could put some hearts. But first, I'm just gonna get the entire thing wet so that I can drop the color onto the page. So the first 2 books on my 2026 TBR are nonfiction. First one is one that I'm in the middle of right now, and it is Daring Greatly by Brené Brown. Daring Greatly is all about vulnerability and reframing the way that societally we think about vulnerability. Sometimes it can be seen as a weakness. She talks about how vulnerability is actually one of our greatest strengths as humans in every aspect of our lives. And the book is named after the Man in the Arena speech by Teddy Roosevelt. She opened it up with a quote from that speech. I want to read it to you. Quote, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly." So she encourages us to embrace vulnerability and imperfection and live wholeheartedly and courteously engage in our lives and what any of that even means or looks like in a practical way. So I've started that one. I'm probably maybe 20 to 30% of the way in. I have the physical copy of that, and I'm already feeling inspired by just how openly she talks about vulnerability and ways that she's been vulnerable. And I feel like when people are writing books about stuff like this, it's like, okay, it really helps me to like understand what you're saying when you're using examples from your own life and ways that you've been vulnerable. And she talks about, she has like a mega popular successful TED Talk, and she talks about how vulnerable doing that was for her. Obviously we know how much of a mega success that was, but when she was in the moment, she felt super vulnerable and like nervous to do it. Me looking at that, I'm like, wow, she just exudes confidence, but that's a practice. It's not just something that people are born with or they're not. So that's one of my books for 2026. I'd like to finish that one. And then I'd also like to read The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown, which talks more about that concept that I mentioned earlier about wholeheartedness. So here's what I have right now for this bookmark. Can you see that that's pink? It's very light pink, but it is pink nonetheless. I don't know, do I add more? Is it too light? Oh, that's a lot. So now it'll be less light. All right, this is definitely way more pink. There, I like that. I'm gonna put this down to dry. Basically, there's 10 guideposts for wholehearted living. We're cultivating authenticity, self-compassion, a resilient spirit, gratitude and joy, intuition and trusting faith, creativity, play and rest, calm and stillness, meaningful work, and laughter, song, and dance. And I need to know how to do all of those things. I say that I can do some of those things and I want to do all of those things, but sometimes it's like, okay, how? And I trust Brené Brown to tell me how. And then if you watched my last video, I think it'll be my last video in this order. In my Sunday reset video, I talked about at the end how I feel like I need to learn how to live a slower life. After I was done recording that video, I was sitting there and I was like, now what the hell does that mean? What do you mean a slower life? How do you start? I'm starting fully at 0 with that. Oh, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make one with stripes. Let me do that while I'm here. I don't know where to start. So naturally I looked up some books on the topic. One of the books that I found is called Slow by Brooke McElary. I'm reading that one right now. That is about slow living, how to start living a slower lifestyle. And I don't know why I closed this. She goes through and she illustrates in her own life examples of like where she was before she started trying to live a slower life and how she managed to actually turn her life, which she described as like chaotic and all over the place. She talks about how she actually did that, which I really appreciate. I'm again only probably 20 to 30% of the way in, but I just need all of the perspectives on this that I can get, because truly when I tell you I have no idea what that even means. Good thing there's so many people out there who have done this before me and I'm not alone on this journey. There's tons of amazing books out there, including In Praise of Slowness, Challenging the Cult of Speed by Carl Honore, which is another book on slow living. What I read about this one is that despite it being published in the 2000s, it is still one of the best researched and most in-depth books on the movement of living a slower life. So that one's pretty much appeared in every list that I've seen when I've looked up books on slow living. So definitely high on my list as well. Once again, it's only January, it's early. I'm sure that I will find more to add to my list. But now let's move into some fiction books, okay? First, I need to talk about the fact that the 4th book in the Assistant to the Villain series comes out, I think in August. That's by Hannah Nicole Mirror. That series is honestly one of my favorite fantasy series now. I discovered it late last year. I flew through the first 3 books. It's about our main character, Evangeline, goes by Evie, and she gets a job as the assistant to the villain. Like, he's actually known in their, it's like a storybook kind of kingdom world. He's known as the villain. It is so funny. Like, the humor in the book, Evie is one of the funniest characters. I just love her so much. She is an eternal optimist, but it's so funny, like the grumpy sunshine dynamic between her and the villain, because she's so sunshine, like the embodiment of it, and he's so grumpy, but she just brings the funniest energy to their like office. Like, the villain has an office. It's very much giving if The Office, the show, was like a YA fantasy series set in a magical fairyland. It's honestly so refreshing, because I feel like a lot of fantasy tropes and storylines just kind of start to feel similar, which I'm gonna continue to eat them up. Like, that's nothing against them at all. But this is just such a refreshing, fun take on the genre, in my opinion. And I'm so excited for the 4th one. It's called Adversary to the Villain. I also want to continue reading the Beartown trilogy. I read the first one. I think this is the first book that I finished of 2025 was Beartown, the first one, and there are 2 more. The next one is called Us Against You, and the 3rd one I believe is The Winners. Us Against You is continuing on from where Beartown left off, which Beartown, if you've never heard of it at all, it's about a small town in Sweden that completely revolves around hockey, and specifically their men's junior hockey team. Like, if the hockey team wins, the town wins. There's so much responsibility put on these young boys' backs to kind of carry the town and the town morale. And like, in the first book, something happens with somebody from the team and somebody from the town, and it kind of just shakes up the entire town. It affects the entire town's dynamics. It affects the hockey. The hockey's always a part of it. It's just so well written. It's by Frederick Bachman. I really, really enjoyed the first one. So the second one, Us Against You, there's another town near Beartown, and it's called Head, and they also have a junior hockey team. Let's just say there's a really stiff rivalry. In the second book, the Beartown hockey team is facing threats of being disbanded, but they eventually hire a new head coach and they rally behind their new star players. Apparently things heat up before the rival game, and I believe the rival game will be between them and Head. It says the not so innocent pranks and incidents between the communities pile up and their mutual contempt grows deeper. By the time the last game is finally played, a resident of Beartown will be dead, and the people of both towns will be forced to wonder if, after all they've been through, the game they love can ever return to something simple and innocent. That reminds me that the beginning of the first book, it kind of starts off showing you that like something crazy happened, and then it goes back in time and tells you the story of what led to that. So it really built up crazy suspense from the very beginning, which I loved. Seems like that's a similar kind of thing is happening in the next book. I really enjoyed the story and how complex the characters are. And since it kind of revolves around hockey and it takes place in a small town and it's like really cold there, I feel like that's a winter book. I'm finding that it's hard to do the craft and talk about the books because a lot of the notes that I have for the books are on my phone, so I have to keep like looking back and forth, and then I'm not looking at you. Wait, what? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Harry Styles just announced a new fucking album. Harry Styles just announced a new fucking album. Are you serious? You're so back. We are so back. Oh my god, we are so back. March 6th? March 6th? I have to wait till March 6th for this. What is on that album, Harold? Oh my god, I'm gonna lose my mind. Okay, well, looks like I'm doing another album reaction. Looks like I have to. What can I say? Okay, best news I've gotten all year. Granted, it's like 2 weeks in. Holy shit, how do I continue on with life and be normal about that? Like, how am I supposed to be normal after hearing this news? Okay, I need a minute. I need a minute. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. I'm gonna try to be normal about this. No promises though. I just finished painting this one just with some pretty little stripes. I kind of love it. I love watercoloring. This is so much fun. You really can't be a perfectionist about watercoloring because the water and the paint just do what they want. You have to be okay with it. And I honestly love the way that it looks when it kind of just like runs. So I'm gonna wait for these ones to dry. And then I think I'm gonna sit here and cut out some things from some magazines and do a scrapbook one. I might just voice over and tell you about some books that I want to read because this is kind of getting difficult to do both. And I feel like I'm just taking forever to explain stuff. Let me cut some new paper and I will continue telling you about books via voiceover and let's see if that works. I can't believe Harry Styles is coming out with a new fucking album. Like, this is the best day of my life. No, the best day of my life is gonna be the day he comes out with the album. It's been like 84 years. What the f is gonna fit on that? This is definitely better. Like, I like these dimensions. All right, so I have some traveler magazines. I've got Better Homes and Gardens from 1994. Ooh, pink. Oh. He's everywhere. I don't know what I'm collaging. Like, I don't have a vision. All right, I'm gonna look through these magazines, cut stuff out if I find anything. Hopefully I do, and tell you about more books that I'm interested in for 2026. Now, of course, I've got some mystery thrillers on this list. The first one is Anatomy of an Alibi by Ashley Elston. This book follows two women, Camille and Aubrey. Camille has the picture-perfect life. She's the daughter of a wealthy Louisiana family. She's married to a big-time lawyer named Ben. But Camille's life is nothing like it seems, as it so often isn't. Camille has the suspicion that her husband Ben was involved in a crime years ago, but she can't do any actual digging into it because he tracks her every move. And then there's Aubrey, who has been haunted by something terrible that happened to her years ago, and she believes Ben Bayless knows something about it that he's not saying. So Aubrey and Camille somehow meet up, they team up, and they hatch a plan. For 12 hours, Aubrey will take Camille's place, Camille will spy on Ben, and the both of them will get the answers that they're desperately seeking. However, things get messy when Ben is found murdered the next morning. Both women obviously need an airtight alibi, but only one has it. This one I actually have coming in the mail right now, so I'm very excited to get into this. Do I want to put lace on this one, or do I just want to laminate it? I got self-laminating sheets. I wouldn't be able to do it till tomorrow, but I really like this. I think it's so cute. I want to make more. I was kind of thinking these two, since they're both pink, I could put them back to back and make it double-sided, and then put lace in the middle so that the lace seam is hidden between the little bookmark sandwich, but I'm like, would that be too thick? I think this would be really cute, actually. Yeah, I think this could be really cute. I have a theory. I'm gonna test the theory, whatever. That's what arts and crafts are for. It's time to heat up the hot glue gun. This is where things get wild. I feel so much like my mom when I put a hot glue gun on. Back to books. Another mystery thriller, we have Paper Cut by Rachel Taft. This one's centered around main character Lucy Golden, who is a true crime icon. She's infamous for the murder she committed while escaping a California cult 20 years ago. When a documentarian comes to Lucy wanting to make her case the subject of his next film, she sees it as an opportunity to silence any doubters once and for all. She has online trolls asking questions about her crime, questioning her. She thinks this documentary will be her way to shut them all up, but as she starts filming and has to return to the California desert and face different people from her past, we learn that the past is not what it seems, and long buried secrets soon collide with present day threats. It says, can Lucy stop her doubters from digging up this truth before it's too late? And how far will she go to protect the story she's been telling and selling all along? I'm currently in the middle of listening to Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I can't believe I have never read this book. This one is written as an oral history of one of the biggest bands of the 70s, Daisy Jones and the Six, with the different members of the band and people close to them talking about their inception, their rise to fame, and their ultimate breakup, which happened right at the height of their popularity, which nobody ever understood. And this year I also really want to read The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. I just love a Kristen Hanna book. She writes an amazing historical fiction. This one is set against the Dust Bowl in Texas in the 1930s, and it follows main character Elsa and her family. She lives with her in-laws currently, her alcoholic husband, and her two young children, and she is struggling to survive in every way. Being in the middle of the Dust Bowl, she has to decide if she and her family should stay and try to survive the drought in Texas, or if they should head west to California. I just love the way that Kristen Hanna tells a story. Her characters are so complex and so well written. Even though they're works of fiction, I feel like you can learn so much about the human spirit through Kristen Hanna's books. And then to finish this off, I have a few fantasy ones to mention. I'm currently in the middle of reading Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. It's another one I picked up put back down, picked up, put back down, and then I finally picked it back up again. I also have Heartless Hunter by Kristen Ciccarelli on the way. This is the first book in the Crimson Moth duology, and this one is a witch and witch hunter trope, which I've never read before, so I'm really excited. And I need to mention Red Rising by Pierce Brown because everybody has told me to read this book. I still haven't read it somehow, and it is top of my TBR for 2026. If you guys have any other books that you think that I would love, any new releases you're looking forward to, any books that aren't new releases but you've read and loved, please comment them down below so I can add them to my TBR. Now at this point in the bookmark making process, I am back to scrapbooking because I had an idea for some text that I wanted to put over a watercolored background, and I love just cutting out letters and words from magazines and piecemealing them together. So that's what I was doing here. Okay, my hair looks like a absolute rat's nest, so if we could just please ignore that. It's been a couple days. I finished my bookmarks. I got my laminating paper things in the mail, so here they are. Oh yeah, I didn't even show you this one. I painted the front and back of this one with the blue watercolor, and then it took longer than I expected to dry, which I don't know why. I expected it to take less time than it did because it was fully wet on both sides. But anyway, I cut these out from a magazine and I just thought it was so cute. And then I also cut these words out from magazines too, and I made it a little double-sided one. So I just had so much fun making these. Here's my other double-sided one, the stripes and the lace. My other scrapbooked one of Charleston. I love them. I just love making stuff. I feel like I have so many bookmarks, which is great, honestly, because as I said, I think I said this, sorry, it's been a couple days, I'm a mood reader, so I'm always in the middle of like 4 or 5 different books. Instead of dog-earing all of them, I just need to start using all these bookmarks. Before we go, I had 2 more books that I wanted to talk about with you that I remembered are, well, one of them I remembered is releasing this year, and then one of them I just discovered was releasing this year, and I'm really excited about it, so I need to tell you about them. The first one is The Velvet Knife by Maureen Johnson, which is part of the Truly Devious series, but it's one of the standalone mysteries. I have read or listened to every Truly Devious book, and I love them. I just can't get enough of them. Like, they're so much fun. The main character, her name is Stevie Bell. She's a teenage detective at this boarding school, if you've never heard of Truly Devious. The first couple books actually take place at Allingham Academy, which is this super selective boarding school. It's in the middle of like the mountains in Vermont. It's started by this dude named Albert Allingham in like the 30s. He had all this land. He decided to start a school where they admit like 30 students a year. The students make their own curriculum. They're all like super interested or gifted in a certain area. And for Stevie, it's true crime. So throughout the series, she's become a full-on detective. Like, she's solved crimes. And I just, something about a teenage detective solving crimes, I just love that plot. There's also another series called The Naturals, and it's kind of along the same vein. That's by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, who wrote the Inheritance Games. But anyway, so in The Velvet Knife, Stevie's investigating a murder at a Manhattan apartment building. They mentioned something about a cult, so maybe there's some cult vibes going on, some weird stuff happening there that she's gonna be investigating. I will read anything with Stevie Bell. I just love this series. Also, the last book did end on a cliffhanger with Stevie's relationship. So hopefully we find out what's going on with that, because I was like, hello? Like, what is he doing? So that's coming out October. That's so far away, but that's gonna be such a good fall read. So October 2026 is when this one is slated to come out. And then the next and last book that I wanted to tell you about that I'm excited for in 2026 is The Midnight Train by Matt Haig, which is apparently in the same world as The Midnight Library, which if you've been watching my videos, you would know. I have it up here on my 5-star shelf. I loved The Midnight Library so much. So to get another book in the same world, I don't even know how that's gonna work. I'm so interested in reading this. The description of it says, when your life flashes before your eyes, where would you stop? No one can change the past, but the midnight train can take you there. The chance to relive the moments that meant most, to see what kind of person you really were. For Wilbur, his best days were with Maggie, the love of his life, on his honeymoon in Venice, before he gave it all away. He wishes he could go back and live differently, but to do so risks everything. So if you're not familiar with the Midnight Library, it's basically this realm in between life and death, where each book is a different way that the person's life could have gone. So each book is a different life stemming from the life that they lived. The main character in that book goes into the Midnight Library, goes into all these different lives that she could have lived. Basically, before the Midnight Library shuts down, you have to pick one if you want to go back to the realm of the living. And so that was like the whole point of the book, is her trying on these different lives, like thinking, oh, I could have done this, I should have done this with my life. Like, here's an opportunity to go into each of these different lives and actually live them and see if you really would have been happier, if the grass really is greener. So it was just such an interesting premise. I really thought that it was such a powerful story and the message was really powerful. So I'm looking forward to reading The Midnight Train. This one says it's gonna be available on May 26th. 2026. So those are the last couple books I wanted to talk about in this video, and that is going to conclude my first little craft and chat homebody hobbies. I think I might also integrate homebody hobbies as a segment in my vlogs, kind of like how I have with home cooking with Hannah. Like, I'll just kind of throw that in a bigger vlog, so maybe I'll do that as well. But if you want more crafts and chats, let me know down below. If you have any ideas for what I could do or what you want me to talk about in a craft and chat, let me know. I thought this was kind of a switch up from what I usually do, which I liked. It involves a lot of my favorite things. The format needs to be worked out. Obviously, this was the first episode and I sat down to film it pretty spontaneously, but I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. And if you made it to this point in the video, comment down below, I'm a real one, because you're a real one. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. And hopefully I will see y'all in my next video. Bye.